Everyone. Okay, so this is going to be my Cloak and Dagger Christmas TBR. One thing that I forgot to mention in the recommendations video, but it seems more appropriate for this one actually, but I forgot to mention the group read that we'll be doing. The group read is going to be for anyone who wants to join us. And it's going to be Trembling Hills by Phyllis Whitney. And I'm really excited for this because it's a Phyllis Whitney I haven't read before. I've only read like 4 of her books, but I really, really love her writing, and I haven't read one of her books in about a decade at least, like probably 15 years even. So anyway, I'm super excited for this. And I think how we're doing this is we're reading it over the course of the whole month. And then I need to discuss with the other ladies. I don't think we've figured out if we're doing like a discussion or if we're just doing like Goodreads discussion or how we're doing that. So I need to talk to them about it and see, but I will let you know when I know. And then I have books for the prompts. The first one is O Tannenbaum, which is read a translated work. And for that, I will be reading Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson, which is the first book in his Millennium Trilogy. This might look familiar because I recommended it in my recommendations video for this prompt, and that is because it is the only translated work, only translated mystery that I have ever read. And I'm rereading it because I haven't yet read the other 2 books, and it's been 10 years since I read this one, so I really need to refresh my memory. But I will read you guys the back of this one. I think I did that in the recommendations video, but in case you haven't seen that, I'll just read the back. This says, The Industrialist, Henrik Wonger, head of the dynastic Wonger Corporation, is tormented by the loss of a child decades earlier and convinced that a member of his family has committed murder. The journalist, Michael Blomkvist, delves deep into the Wongers' past to uncover the truth behind the unsolved mystery, but someone else wants the past to remain a secret and will go to any lengths to keep it that way. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Lisbeth Salander, the enigmatic, delinquent, and dangerous security specialist, assists in the investigation. A genius computer hacker, she tolerates no restrictions placed upon her by individuals, society, or the law. So yeah, this at the time was one of the best mysteries that I've ever read, and I'm really hoping that I feel the same way rereading it all these years later. But I will say again, trigger warning for sexual violence. But again, it's used very specifically and purposefully to illustrate the overall message of this book, and kind of the message of the whole trilogy. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading this again. Next is I Saw Three Ships. I Saw Three Ships, which is read a book set in a location you don't normally read about. And for me, that is going to be The Dry by Jane Harper, because this is set in Australia, and I think I've never read a book set in Australia, let alone a mystery set in Australia. So that'll be really interesting. I've seen lots of TV shows and movies set in Australia, but just not read a book there. So anyway, I'll read you guys the back of this one. This says, Federal agent Aaron Falk hasn't been back to the place where he grew up in 20 years, not since he and his father were run out of town. Even when Falk gets word that his childhood best friend Luke is dead and his entire family murdered, Falk still isn't planning on going back. But then he gets a note. Luke lied. You lied. Be at the funeral. And just like that, Falk is swept back into the secrets of the place and people he left so long ago. When Falk returns for the funeral amid the worst drought in a century, long-buried mysteries resurface along with the lies that accompanied them, and Falk will discover anew what he's known all along. Sometimes you have to go back home in order to finally leave your past behind. So yeah, this is the first in her detective series, and it sounds amazing. I'm really, really excited about this. And then the next one is Silent Night, which is read a book with an unknown adversary or a book full of secrets. I didn't know how to gauge the whole secrets thing because if I haven't read it, like, do you see what I mean? Like, I don't really know how to do that. So instead, I picked one that was an unknown adversary. So for that, I actually directly took the recommendation of Kate from the novel Nomad for The Lost Man by Jane Harper, which is her standalone. And this one, she actually specifically recommended for this prompt in her Cloak and Dagger Christmas recommendations. So I will read you guys the inside. This says, brothers Nathan and Bob Bright meet for the first... Oh, Bub Bright, not Bob Bright. Brothers Nathan and Bub Bright meet for the first time in months at the remote fence line separating their cattle ranches in the lonely outback. Their third brother, Cameron, lies dead at their feet. In an isolated belt of Queensland, Australia, their homes a 3-hour drive apart, the brothers were one another's nearest neighbors. Cameron was the middle child, the one who ran the family homestead, but something made him head out alone under the unrelenting sun. Nathan Bub and Nathan's son returned to Cameron's ranch and to those left behind by his passing, his wife, his daughters, and his mother, as well as their longtime employee and 2 recently hired seasonal workers. While they grieve Cameron's loss, suspicion starts to take hold, and Nathan is forced to examine secrets the family would rather leave in the past. Because if someone forced Cameron to his death, the isolation of the outback leaves few suspects. A powerful and brutal story of suspense set against a formidable landscape, The Lost Man confirms that Jane Harper is one of the best new voices writing today. So yeah, this will be so much fun. I'm a little concerned about reading both of the Jane Harpers that I own within a month because it means then I won't have any left, and I'll have to be patient and wait till I get more. But I think it'll be fun. Next is In the Bleak Midwinter, which is read a book set in a cold climate or a book that makes your blood run cold. I'm not very good at the whole books that make your blood run cold thing because usually those are scary enough I can't handle them. So instead, I'm doing the cold climate one, and for that, I'm going to be listening to Death of a Prankster, which is the 7th book in the Hamish Macbeth series by MC Beaton. And I can't show it to you because I'm listening to the audio via Hoopla, which is how I've read the last several of these books. And this one is actually set in the middle of winter in the Scottish Highlands. So definitely a cold climate, and I thought it was appropriate that it's set in the middle of winter and, in the bleak midwinter. Yeah, bleak midwinter, not in the bleak. Anyway. Okay. Anyway, there's that one. Next is, what's the next one? I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day, and that one is read a book set at Christmas. So I have 2 for that. I have The Santa Claus Murder by Mavis Dorial Hay, which I will read you guys the back of this one. It says, Aunt Mildred declared that no good could come of the Melbury family Christmas gatherings at their country residence, Flaxmere. So when Sir Osmond Melbury, the family patriarch, is discovered by a guest dressed as Santa Claus with a bullet in his head on Christmas Day, the festivities are plunged into chaos. Nearly every member of the party stands to reap some sort of benefit from Sir Osmond's death. But Santa Claus, the one person who seems to have every opportunity to have every opportunity to fire the shot, has no apparent motive. Various members of the family have their private suspicions about the identity of the murderer, and the chief constable of Hampshire, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, who begins his investigations by saying that he knows the family too well, and that is his difficulty, wishes before long that he understood them better. In the midst of mistrust, suspicion, and hatred, it emerges that there was not one Santa Claus, but 2. So yeah, this sounds really, really good. And then the next one, the other one that I'm going to do for the Christmas one is actually book 6 in the Hamish Macbeth series, which is Death of a Snob. And that one is set at Christmas. And again, I can't show you because I listened to them via audiobook via Hoopla. But I'm really excited for both of those. And then the last one is the last prompt is Come Thou Long Expected Jesus, and that is read a book that you've been meaning to for a while. And for that, I have Nine Coaches Waiting by Mary Stewart. I've owned this for a while. I've wanted to read it longer than I've owned it, and it was actually on my TBR last Cloak and Dagger Christmas, and I didn't get to it. So, yeah, it's about time for this one. But I've heard amazing things. So here's the back of this one. It says Linda Martin understands what it is to be lonely. Her parents died when she was young, and she was raised in an orphanage. When she is hired as a governess to the orphaned young Philippe, Comte de Valmy, Linda finds a kindred spirit in the lonely little boy. But Philippe is the heir to a vast estate in Savoy, and his dangerously handsome uncle may be willing to kill to ensure Philippe never inherits it. That just sounds fantastic. I'm so excited, and I love this cover. I think it is gorgeous. And hopefully, if I love this, I will get many more Mary Stewarts because I've heard amazing things about her as an author. Next, that's the last of the prompts, but I have 2 other books that I really want to read for Cloak and Dagger Christmas, and they are Mrs. McGinty's Dead, which is book, oh gosh, some number, it's something like book 30 in the Poirot series, or like book 32 or something like that. Anyway, I will read you guys the back. This says, Mrs. McGinty died from a brutal blow to the back of her head. Suspicion falls immediately on her shifty lodger, James Bentley, whose clothes reveal traces of the victim's blood and hair. Yet something is amiss. Bentley just doesn't seem like a murderer. Could the answer lie in an article clipped from a newspaper 2 days before the death? With a desperate killer still free, Hercule Poirot will have to stay alive long enough to find out. Yeah, so I've seen the ITV adaptation of this, and I enjoy it, but it's not one of my favorites really. So I'm hoping that I'll like the book a lot more. And then last but certainly not least, After the Funeral, which is another Poirot. This is my absolute favorite of the Poirot adaptations. So I'm really, really looking forward to the book, and I'm wondering if it will end up, I don't think it will end up surpassing Murder on the Orient Express as my favorite, but it might very well become my second favorite Poirot, just because of how much I know that I already love the story from the adaptation, so hopefully I will love the book as much or even more. But anyway, this says, when Cora Lansquenet is savagely murdered with a hatchet, the extraordinary remark she made the previous day at her brother Richard's funeral suddenly takes on a chilling significance. At the reading of Richard's will, Cora was clearly heard to say, "It's been hushed up very nicely, hasn't it? But he was murdered, wasn't he?" In desperation, the family solicitor turns to Hercule Poirot to unravel the mystery. Yeah, I completely love this adaptation. It probably very strongly has to do with the fact that Michael Fassbender is in it, but I also really love his character in it. And also just the rest of the cast and the characters are completely amazing as well. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this book. Okay, so that is everything that I will be reading for Cloak and Dagger Christmas. I'm sorry I've been tripping over my words in this video. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you guys are reading for Cloak and Dagger Christmas if you're participating. I would love to know who's participating with us in the group read along. And thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys later.